Peace and shalom, family. My name is Tovi Mikael, and I am a independent Hebrew researcher, editor, and I'm here to assist in what I believe is a de-learning of something that is quite critical to the overall understanding of the biblical text. All right? But before I begin, I wanted to address people who had been scoffers, I would say. Initially, I had spoke with scholars, Christian leaders, and most recently the Hebrew community in trying to get people to converse about this topic that I'm about to bring out today. Today's lesson is about the bronze serpent. And through this lesson and through this one test, I will show and prove that either we need to reevaluate some of the concepts we believe, or at least acknowledge that they are tradition and are not actually pertaining to things coming directly from the manuscript itself, aka the Torah. So I hope you're ready today, because the controversy that I told you would begins now. And I hope you guys are prepared. And for one last note, I would like to do a friendly challenge, a jest, I would say. Any scholar who believes that what I am saying is in error, please debunk it, whether it's through the Hebrew text, through Torah law, or through canon formation itself. But today, I will show you with one test how tons of these concepts and traditions fall apart. Peace. Shalom. All right. Okay, so now that we begin, welcome to Roots Reclaim, and the lesson today is Jesus and the Bronze Serpent. This comes directly from my book, Tanakh, New Testament Manuscripts and the Israelites. This is chapter 6 in Appendix K. This is where you can find it in the book. I named this Broken by Torah. I hope you guys are prepared, and let us begin. When Paul quotes, "Cursed is everyone who hangs on a tree," Galatians 3:13, he records a Torah judgment symbol. But what if the bronze serpent was never meant to predict a savior? What if it was a warning? Right here, I go ahead and leave the actual quote. Christ has redeemed us from the curse of the law, having become a curse for us, for it is written, "Cursed is anyone who hangs from a tree." Okay, let us continue. All right, so now let's look into Numbers 21. And in Numbers 21, verse 4, it says that basically Israel is being judged by the fiery serpents that bite the people. God instructs Moses to make a nakash na kashet, a bronze serpent, and lift it up on a pole. The text never says the serpent heals anyone. It says when the bitten looked, they lived. It took no prayer, no invocation, no worship. The serpent is an authorized instrument, not a salvific agent. That distinction matters. Okay. All right, let's take a look at the next slide. The textual matrix. Okay, we're going to be dealing with Numbers 21, 8 and 9, John 3, 14, 2 Kings 18 and 4, and Galatians 3, 13. Basically, I'm going to be showing you how the each each format, is basically either ancient Near East concept, or this is just Torah law. And I think these things get misconstrued here, but let's continue. John, son of man, lifted up, repurposes the serpent motif. Paul codifies the curse reversal in Galatians. All right. And then so that makes the theme of salvation, judgment, a confrontational situation towards the crucifix. But let's continue. 2 Kings 18. Now look, it tells you that a righteous king, Hezekiah. I want y'all to catch that part. A righteous king. So you got centuries later, King Hezekiah destroys this same bronze serpent. And he's praised for it. Why was he praised for it? Because the people began to burn incense to it. Torah does not preserve symbols once they absorb the salvific meaning. Hezekiah renames it Nakashtan, a piece of bronze. That's the Torah's verdict. It was authorized, then it became forbidden. This is what occurred. Just to give you some reference points, during the bronze iconography in the late bronze era, the Tamina serpent cults, you can look at that at Stager 2020. It's a reference point there. Obviously, the reforms of Hezekiah are in 2 Kings 18:4. All right, let's continue. All right, so as we continue, in Exodus chapter 7, there has to be an issue that occurs here. One textual critique that I might say. When we begin to read Exodus 7 and the story of Aaron and Pharaoh and Moshe and the creation of the serpents, what we find is the terminology used is tanin here. Le tanin in verse 9. Also in verse 10, we see the term le tanin, okay? Which is what they translate as serpent here. All right? However, let's go to the next slide. The terms that we are speaking of are tanin, nakashtin, and nakash. Okay? Torah does not use tanin here. It uses nakash in 2 Kings chapter 18. It's consistent with deception, judgment, and testing. Tanin appears in power confrontations, like in Exodus, never as healing. The Hebrew choice is deliberate. Torah is already signaling danger, not redemption. Let us go to the next slide. In Genesis chapter 3, verse 13, it says that, "And God said to the woman, 'What is this you have done?' The woman replied, 'The serpent duped me, and I ate.'" However, the term used for duped me is hashanani, right here. Hishanani. All right? And the term for the serpent, right here, ha-nakash, not tanin. So, even in John 3, in the Orthodox Jewish Hebrew Bible, the term here, Moshe et ha-nakash. So Nakash is still the terminology being used. Let's look into this. If Moses lifted up the serpent, and so must the Son of Man be lifted up, that comparison is not my comparison. It's John's comparison. And Paul goes further and he aligns it with the Torah curse. But Torah never turns cursed symbols into objects of worship. It destroys them. That's the problem. Let's continue. The term nakash, Genesis 3:1, serpent, omen, deception. The term tanin, dragon, monster, Exodus 7:9. And hishinani, he deceived me, coming from the root nasha. All right, let us continue. This is pretty much the same thing. This is all of the, you can get the sources right here at the bottom. All right, so you have your reference citations. Now let's deal with this real concrete scholarly work I would present right now, because the question also becomes, who else spoke of these things in the last however time frame? Let's continue. Let's see. The Rabbinic and Qumran silence. The Qumran caves were silent, which is strange, especially on eschatology. The Mishnah, Rosh Hashanah 3 and 8, the Dead Sea Scrolls, 4Q Philological, 1Q Hadayot, 1Q P-Hab. The scrolls avoid serpent typology. They reject of image-based redemption. So they have no idolatry-based redemption. No idol or no, symbol of imagery can be the redemptive salvific figure as well. But let's continue. If that's what the Rabbinic and the Qumran caves had to say, let's see what the Patristic fathers had to say. Clearly, the Patristic fathers, Justine, Irenaeus, Origen, Augustine, all chose to say that it was a polemic of the ancient Near East, and that allegory of the serpent was equal to the cross. Very interesting. But this is the part where I get to tell you guys that just cannot be the case. I hope you're prepared. When signs become snares, Deuteronomy chapter 13. Deuteronomy 13 gives us a test. Even if a sign works, if it redirects allegiance, worship, or trust, it fails. Torah tests power. It does not follow it. It tests it. Deuteronomy 13:1 and 5, and Galatians 3:13. If a message negates Torah, then it's a sign and it is a test of truth. Could that be correct? Let us see. Deuteronomy 13. Let's read it. It says, be careful to observe only which that I enjoin upon you, neither add to it nor take away from it. If there appears among you a prophet or a dream diviner who gives you a sign or a portent, saying, let us follow and worship another God, whom you have not experienced, even if the sign or the portent name to you comes true, do not heed the words of the prophet or the dream diviner, for your God is testing you to see whether you really love your God with all your heart and soul. It is your God alone who you should follow, whom you should revere, whose commandments you should observe, whose orders you should heed, whom you should worship, and to whom you should hold fast. As for the prophet or diviner, such as one shall be put to death for having urged disloyalty to your God, who freed you from the land of Egypt and who redeemed you from the house of bondage. Wait a minute, y'all. The Torah says something different. The Torah does not allow idolatry. This is the first commandment. Let us look and see what's next here. All right, so the last verse 7 I find to be very intriguing because it reminds me of something stated in the New Testament, quoted. It says, if your brother or your mother's son or your son or your daughter or your wife of your bosom or your closest friend entices you in secret, saying, come, let us worship other gods, whom neither you or your ancestors have experienced. Interesting. I think we should really look into this text. He was lifted up, but what rose was an idol. According to Torah, a Mashiach can be an anointed agent, a righteous servant, a vindicated instrument, but salvation belongs to Yah alone. When a person or a symbol observes salvific trust, Torah intervenes. That is the Bronze Serpent lesson. So, with that in mind, my final question, was Yeshua lifted up for healing or lifted up into idolatry? I'll leave that for you guys to judge. And here are a bunch of references to assist you guys in your research. I will say, when an instrument fails, when symbols collapse, when exile follows idolatry, Torah does not end in despair. It turns towards restorations, towards Bat Gola, the remnant feminine. And that is what I'll bring to you next. Peace and shalom. Peace and shalom, family. I am Tovi Mikhael. I just wanted you guys to know that you need to pick up my new book, Tanakh New Testaments, Manuscripts, and the Israelites, a Hebraic and Diasporic Critique of Canon Formation and Textual Theology, the Elohim Edition, 2025. I just published it. This is also in academia under serious peer review. Guys should go pick this up. It's over 500 citations across 180 academic sources. Okay, this is real scholarship. This is real work. This is like over 15 years of study. Okay, and I have more coming. You guys just need to go pick this one up, whether it's paperback, ebook. As you can see, I got the hard copy. You can get it anywhere, wherever books is sold. You know what I'm saying? Wherever you go, I got it all. I'm working on Audible as well. So, guys, just look out for it. And peace and shalom and blessings.